are just at time, so let's get into art mode. So we'll take 3 deep breaths in, and we'll hold our breath at the top just for a moment. And then as we release, just drop those shoulders down. So first deep breath in, and hold it, and release. And a second deep breath in, and hold it, and release. Maybe some of you can hold your breath longer than that, or take more deeper breaths than that, but it's not challenging anyone. You go at your own pace. And a third deep breath in, and release. And that moment where we hold our breath just for a second, where we pause, is actually a state of meditation, which is very good to slow everything down and get your body back into its natural rhythm. So any troubles that you have, because it's good to get into the art mode, if you have any troubles, just set that aside in the parking lot for now and pick it up later if you need to, or you may find that that just disappears. So we're going to get right into color. My name is Cathy. For those that are new, it's a watercolor art class, and we will go through step by step. So the poppies are ochre and red. They've got a little bit of purple in different places on them, but we're going to start, if you're ready, we're going to start just by getting these poppies wet. So let's just put clear water on our poppies. So all of the flower heads just get clear water. Now this is a poppy seed down the bottom. So if you can leave that one dry, these are poppy seeds for the beginning of a poppy. But this is the flower, and we'll just leave that center if you're able to. If you've already painted over it, it's not a big deal, but the center of this is black or purple, but the rest are just clear water. I'm just going to add a little bit more water. So this is fairly free flowing. We are going to have an outside paint or sky, but we're going to do that after so that you can see how all of the different colors can blend together. So for those wanting to catch up, it's just the heads of the poppies, just the top, the flower part, and we're just doing clear water on all of the poppies, but not on the poppy seeds, not on these little buds. We'll leave the little buds clear. There's 3 of them. Then I'm going to use cadmium red, whichever red you have, a medium red, whichever red, but I'm just going to put that color on my poppy. And it's just going to flow wherever the water is. If there's little white spaces left, that's okay. It actually adds to the flower, so you don't have to fill in every section. It's fairly free flowing, quick moving. And then I'm going to add some ochre. So I want a little bit of ochre on some of those flowers. In with the red. Just here and there, not the whole thing. So you can see I've got a little bit, some little white spaces where I haven't filled in everything. A little bit of white on the edges, not filled in. And if you go out of the edges, outside of the lines, it really will add to your poppy. So that's red with just a little bit of ochre. And that was a bigger brush I'm using, so I'm just changing down to a number 3 brush. And I'm going to mix on my tray ochre and green. So I want an olivey green. If you have sap green, that's okay. If you have deep green, that's okay. If you have hooker's green, that's okay. Just mix a little bit of ochre and it will come up to an olivey color. And that olivey color is what I'm going to use to paint my buds. I'm painting all 3 of my buds, and you can see that I've hit that red that was still wet, and it's pulled some of that red down into my bud. I'm not really worried about that. I'm going to lift a little bit of it off, but the green is what I want, at least on the outside. And I may come back and touch that little bud up once that red dries. I put ochre with the flower, just here and there. There's ochre here, just a little bit of ochre here. And just sort of touch it in there. This is just loose painting, being able to just move with the painting quickly. With the same, I've got ochre and green mixed together. With that same ochre and green, I'm going to do my stems in that same color. And if I go out of the lines, that's okay. And you can see my green has hit some of my red and it's pulling that down into the stem. That's okay. I think that's quite pretty. I think that's okay. So we'll do all of the stems in that olivey color. And it doesn't matter what green you have. If you have a hooker's green, deep green, light green, sap green, you're just looking for an olivey color. And then with purple, if you have purple, good. If you don't have purple, you can make purple by mixing blue and red. And with purple, I'm going to fill in the center of that poppy at the bottom because that's the open face of that poppy. And that's purple. And I'm also going to give that poppy some definition. So where the little sides of some of the stems come down, I'm going to put in a little bit of definition for that poppy. So that's just purple. If you don't have purple, red and blue makes purple. And I'm going to start to find some more places on the poppy that might be a shadow, maybe the look of a leaf. So I'm finding my flower. And I've got my poppy up the top. And the very, very top poppy, a little bit of shadow on the outside. where you've drawn your lines for your stems, on the outside of each stem, we've got the green on the one side, and we're going to put purple on the outside edge. Now ignore this line. This line is just red paint that's run. And so I'll fix that up later with blue. You'll see how that will work. But on the outside of each stem, we're just going to put a purple line. And there's a break in between because this stem is running over top or in front of the other one. I'm switching back to my larger brush. If you've used blue with red to make your purple, then use the same blue in this technique. If not, then you can use whatever blue you choose. I'm going to use something called cobalt blue. And I'm getting cobalt blue in a puddle, and I'm making it a little bit wet, and I'm going to start to paint all around my poppies, all around the stems. If I leave some little white spots, that's okay. This is fairly and don't sweat it. If it makes you angry, you're figuring out what's happening here, take a deep breath and do this. Let that silent scream go inside. So we're just doing blue all around the outside edges. This is our sky. As I said, I'm using cobalt blue, which is a nice sky color. And in some places it'll be lighter, in some places it will be darker. Just popping that color on and just letting it flow, a little bit of water. And you can see there's some spaces that are a little bit lighter, some are a little bit darker. I think that adds to the picture. This is just getting loose with paint. This is where I can start to disguise that extra stem a little bit. And you can see some of that purple starting to run into the blue. I happen to think that's quite pretty. If you want to highlight one poppy over the other, you would put a darker blue. If I want to highlight this one poppy from the other ones, I can put a darker color around the outside of it, and it will stand out a little bit more. If I'm not happy that I think it's too dark, then I can add a little bit of water and just lighten that up a little bit. So because we didn't do a wet surface, wet on dry, or a wet surface, wet on wet, we can go ahead and we can add paint and put water and move it around. Still end up with a nice soft sky. And by painting around those little buds, it highlights those. And in some places it's picked up some of the color and it's running into the flower, and that's okay. I kind of like that. And I'm going to add just a touch of purple here and there. And that should blend right in with the blue. And we still have a few more moments, so just take a deep breath. Drop your shoulders. And you can decide where you want to put your artist signature. But while you're finishing what you're doing, I'm going to read the card for today. Believe it or not, it's time. Look how much fun we've had. So may you know joy, meditation for everyday living. The word of the day is creativity. So thank you, Patricia, for pulling creativity. May you know the force of your creativity. There are so many colorful ways for you to express your ideas and your feelings and your energy. What colors will you use? How will you move? What mood will you evoke? How will it be different from yesterday? You are creating every moment of your life in everything that you do. You hold the palette and wield the brush. Be passionately creative. So fitting for today. May you know creativity.